Hello everyone and welcome to the patch notes for Wild Rift patch 6.0c. This is the first time we've had a patch now in the past 3 weeks. I'm assuming that Riot and the developers had a break because of the Lunar New Year. Obviously the developers now are all in China, so that's kind of expected. That's probably why we had back-to-back patches at the start of the patch. But now, 3 weeks later, we have a brand new patch, new champion, new rework, and all buffs. Not a single nerf in this patch, which is kind of surprising because there's champions like Echo and Bessa and Amumu that are just running rampant at the moment on the Rift. So kind of surprised that none of them got hit by a nerf, but some of these buffs might be able to bring these champions back into the meta. I will be streaming and the new update and all the new changes to this patch tomorrow when it goes live, so make sure you keep an eye on that one because I'll be streaming live over on YouTube. Right, let's take a look and see what's coming in this patch. Gnar is coming out this Friday or Thursday depending on your time zone. I'm super excited for Gnar. Gnar in PC League of Legends has been the most stable and iconic champion for quite a long time. He's a super safe champion to pick. He has engage, he has disengage, he has the range advantage, which is so powerful in Wild Rift. A lot of people have been saying, you know, play AD carries in the top lane, Vayne, Varus, etc. You can kind of play Gnar like that because Gnar has range with his mini form. He has so much pressure and so much sustain. The engage potential as well in Mega Gnar is absolutely crazy. I'm really excited to try out Gnar. Of course, I'll be doing a guide on him when he releases. But I'll also be playing him on Friday and streaming that as well on my YouTube. We also have the Gnar vent. We have Together Under the Crescent. We also have the spring rotated mode. So we're going to have all random, ultra rapid fire, and one for all. All right, champion changes. This is the biggest rework that we have seen for quite some time. As you can see, I'm scrolling, and it's all still Corki. All of this is all of Corki's rework. Basically what is happening to Corki, again, this doesn't go live until March 6th, which is kind of sad. It won't be live on day one. Basically what they're doing is they're changing Corki to now how he is on PC League. All of your magic damage that you're dealing before, like the passive, for example, where before you would deal 20% physical damage and 80% magic damage, that is now all changing into physical damage and also additional true damage. So no more building Riftmaker, no more building Liandry's, Morellonomicon, nothing like that. We are going back to the true crit attack damage Corki builds. Everything is going into physical damage. You can see here as I scroll down, the third ability changing physical damage, the ultimate changing physical damage. The third ability now can also shred armor and magic resist instead of just magic resist. This means that you don't even need to build Mortal Reminder. You can just go for a full damage build with Trinity Force, with Essence Reaver, Solari, Charge Blade. That's the basic TLDR. Now let's get in actually into the little nitty witty bits. With the rework and see what's actually changing. No surprise really that the base attack damage and the attack damage per level is changing. Pretty much all of his abilities are getting buffed in terms of damage and in terms of just how much damage potential you could deal, especially with the passive as well. This changing from, you know, 20% physical damage and 80% magic damage to now 100% of your physical damage plus an additional 20% true damage. No surprise that the base stats in general has been completely nerfed. Passive, as I mentioned, you know, this change that I just mentioned. Now we do have a new package. So with Corki at the moment, when you hear that siren, you're like, you have to go back to base, you have to pick up the package, and you get the empowered version of Valkyrie. So that doesn't actually happen in PC League anymore. And they've done the same here in Wild Rift. They removed the package. Now in PC League, they don't have a package passive anymore. They basically just removed that passive completely. But in Wild Rift, we're going to be getting a whole new passive completely that we've never seen before on Corki. So after hitting an enemy champion 6 times with Missile Barrage, which is your ultimate, so the rockets, the package is delivered to Corki. So the package is going to happen right next to Corki. He can then pick it up to gain 4 big ones. You gain 4 empowered ultimates back to back when you pick up your package. So it's more of like a spike more than anything else. You know, it means you don't have to go back to the base. You can just pick up your package and you're going to get that spike straight away. That means as soon as you pick up the package, you're going to get 4 really big ultimates and a huge amount of burst damage. So it's really important that when you pick up the package with a new passive, you try and go for a fight. Again, you don't have that huge massive Valkyrie anymore. You don't have that huge massive package that you can go across a dragon fight or dive into the enemy backline. You're now just sticking with the standard Valkyrie throughout the whole game. This is going to be very interesting though. I think making sure that the package spawns next to Corki is very important. It's been a change that I think benefits Corki more than anything, to be fair, because it's so good that you could just pick it up right next to you. But it also means that you just gain so much extra damage now. You know, a lot of people are maybe not going to realize how much burst damage you can deal with 4 big rockets, which I'll talk about, you know, a little bit later on. So brand new passive. And the other passive now changing. No more magic damage again, as I mentioned. No more Rift Maker. No more building AP items, because your auto attacks are not going to deal magic damage anymore. They're going to do 100% physical damage and 20% true damage. First ability, the bullet speed has been increased, which is quite nice. This has always been a very slow ability for quite some time. The cooldown has been nerfed a little bit in the early game, but in the late stages of the game, it's going down from 7 seconds down to 6 seconds. And now, as you can see, the base damage has changed, but now it scales with 120% of your bonus attack damage and 100% of your ability power. Of course, you're not going to be really building ability power, so this isn't really that helpful, to be fair. But this buff here is really, really nice. It means that late game now, your first ability is going to be doing a major amount of damage. Again, you know, scaling off of 120% instead of 70% is nice. It's also keeping the same value. So it has the bullet speed increase. Yes, the cooldown has been increased a little bit in the early game, but your auto attack is going to be doing a lot more damage now. Corki is definitely going to be a lot more orientated around his auto attacks. He's still going to use his abilities, but his auto attacks are going to do a crazy amount of damage. So overall, this ability is getting a really, really nice buff. Of course, this is the ability that you max first. So all you need to do is put 2 points into this ability, and then you have the same cooldown with an increased amount of damage. Really, really nice. Second ability, Valkyrie, as I mentioned, the special delivery, the huge, massive dash forward. This has been completely removed. Cool. Cooldown going down by 1 second at early ranks and going down by 4 seconds at maximum rank now, because you don't have this special delivery that allows you to engage or get this big massive disengage. You're now allowed to, you know, the game's allowed to basically lower the cooldown by 4 seconds. Really, really nice. It means that Corki can be more mobile now, and you can use this ability more often, which is great. Mana consumption going down, also really nice. Means that you'll be able to use your other abilities more often. Again, it's a big buff in the early game, but late game is only 5 mana, so it won't really mean too much, to be honest with you. The damage part is very interesting. You can see that it now scales with your bonus attack damage, which it only scaled with ability power before. So again, more damage on your second ability, and it still has the ability power percentage in there. But the trail burning has been reduced from 3 seconds down to 2.5 seconds. Now, most of the time, you don't actually use this ability for damage. You don't dash over the enemy and think to yourself, oh, I hope the trail burning does enough damage, because it doesn't really have a lot of damage. But now scaling with 60% of your bonus attack damage, I mean, when you're kiting and the enemies are walking over your Valkyrie, it might actually do some damage now, to be fair. I mean, the base value is still the same, but now it scales with 60% of your bonus attack damage. As I mentioned, you're going to be building a lot of attack damage now with Corki. Again, with items like Essence Reaver, Bloodthirster is probably going to come into the mix, Infinity Edge, Solari Charge Blade. You're still going to build probably Trinity Force as well. So yeah, overall, this is a really interesting change. I'm curious to see if this is actually going to make a difference with the damage potential. But again, the big buff here is the cooldown going down by a lot, and also the mana consumption going down. Gatling gun, probably the biggest change out of all of this, to be fair, except for maybe the passive, because you don't deal magic damage anymore. Your third ability now does physical damage, not magic damage. Great. Now it shreds target's armor and magic resist. It's not just shredding magic resist anymore. It's now shredding the enemy's armor and magic resist. This might be a situation where you do not need to build Mortal Reminder or Serratus Grudge. And yes, Serratus Grudge can actually be an item now on Corki without you completely inting, because before Serratus Grudge was giving you 20% physical damage. Now it actually gives you 100% of the damage. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, these numbers are pretty decent, to be fair. I mean, you max your third ability second, so you're probably going to get this at like level 12, roughly level 13. You'll be able to get the maximum duration of your Gatling gun, the maximum, reduction on your Gatling gun, the maximum shred. There is a world in which you don't need to build any armor penetration at all. You probably still will, because obviously magic, sorry, not magic resist. The anti-heal is very important. You know, building anti-heal, a lot of healing in the game. Of course, your abilities now do physical damage, so you can actually apply multiple reminders anti-heal now, which is great. But this is, yeah, this is really, really huge. Reducing enemies' armor, your auto attacks, your abilities are going to do a crazy amount of damage. Cooldown is also going down by 2 seconds at every single rank. Great. The mana consumption has gone up by 10, 20, and 30s at level 2, 3, and 4. So it does mean that you have to be a little bit careful with the mana on your third ability. However, it has such a greater effect. Lower cooldown, you get to reduce the enemy's armor, but again, it's not about spamming this ability anymore and trying to use it to clear waves. You might want to save this in the late game and actually wait until someone's close enough where you can actually shred their armor and do a lot of damage. So Corki is going to absolutely shred through tanks, which is great. Damage as well, the damage is going down in terms of the flat damage. I mean, no surprise now because you get to shred the target's armor. The base damage is going down, and it looks like the bonus attack damage is also staying the same. So nothing really changing in terms of the damage output of the ability itself. Again, your main goal with your third ability was never to deal damage anyway. It was to target the enemy's magic resistance and reduce the enemy's magic resistance. Now you get to reduce the armor and magic resistance. So in my opinion, huge buff. Huge buff. Probably buff because of the cooldown. Huge buff. And obviously the passive is a huge buff. All right, ultimate. So now they're bringing over the ultimate that we got from PC League of Legends as well with Corki. So again, the magic damage is turning into physical damage. The maximum stacks is going from 6 to 4. But now basic attack against champions reduce the time between charges by 2 plus 200% of your critical strike rate. This is another one of the main reasons why crit and attack speed Corki is going to be so important. Because the cooldown, missile preparation time, the cooldown is now going to be 20 seconds. So you have to wait 20 seconds until your next missile is available on your ultimate. But again, basic attacks hitting enemy champions reduces that time between charges by 2 plus 200% of your critical strike rate. So it means that you can, at the very least, reduce it by 2 seconds every single time you auto attack. And again, this scaling with crit just means you're going to have to go for a critical build, and you need at least one attack speed item in there to make sure you have the nice attack speed to be able to auto attack and, you know, reduce the cooldown of your ultimate. So this is a crazy change. This obviously being increased in cooldown is no surprise. It's not really a nerf. It's just an adjustment of how the ability works. The normal missile damage is going down a little bit at level 1, up a lot actually in terms of base damage at level 2, and up a hell of a lot of base damage at, oh my god, a hell of a lot of base damage now at level 3. And now it scales with 70% of your bonus attack damage at every single rank. So it's not scaling attack damage anymore. Oh, this is, oh, okay. This makes sense. So they actually put in some of the base damage into this, or some of the damage into the base damage, because this was attack damage. This was attack damage before, now it's bonus attack damage. So the bonus attack damage only works on items, whereas attack damage worked on also your base attack damage, which also had the higher percentage as well. So you have more base damage. This is going to be lower. 70% of your bonus attack damage is in general going to be lower. Overall, it's probably still buff. I mean, it doesn't scale off your ability power anymore, but that's fine because you won't be building any ability power. That's completely fine. And then the empowered version of the missiles actually going down at every single rank, which is kind of surprising. But now again, it scales with 140% of your bonus attack damage. But I think the reason why they're nerfing the ultimate damage, or the big one, as they like to call it, the empowered missile attack, is because of this new package where you get 4 big ones every single time that you pick up your package. So this 4 big ones is going to be this damage right here. Oh, sorry, this damage right here. 140, 210, 280, plus 140% of your bonus attack damage. You are going to be doing crazy damage with Corki. I mean, I was hoping that this would maybe come out on day 1, but I mean, I guess we'll have to wait till March 6th, I guess, which is kind of sad. But yeah, probably the biggest rework we have ever had to Wild Rift. I mean, PC League of Legends Corki has been dominating the Rift for such a long time, and now we get that version of Corki onto Wild Rift. Super excited to see how he's going to feel and how he's going to how he's going to play out, because I think he's going to be a very strong champion, both in the duo lane and also in the mid lane as well. Other buffs coming in to this patch: Kindred a little bit of scaling attack speed on the first ability. The base damage has also gone up by 5, but the scaling attack speed, which is basically how many marks you get 3% per mark. Now you get 5% per mark. So it means that the more marks you get, the more attack speed you'll be able to gain after you use Dance of Arrows. And the third ability is also getting an increase of damage with the base damage and also the bonus to attack damage. Honestly, I'll be totally honest with you. I don't remember the last time I saw a Kindred in my game. I don't think this champion has ever been seen for such a long time. And it's because bruisers and tanks are so powerful that these carry junglers are not really a part of the meta right now. I mean, assassins in general find their way a little bit into the meta, but Kindred has a problem where he's not really an assassin and also not really a, bruiser at the same time. So you're kind of having that difficulty of another range champion, another AD carry on your team, which most of the time you want another bruiser like Vi, Jarvan, and Bessa, someone like that. But I'll give these buffs a try anyway. I think Kindred is a very, very fun champion. Again, very focused around his marks and trying to get as many marks as possible. Gwen I've seen a few times. I haven't seen that much since patch 6.0, so I'm not really too sure how she really feels right now. I believe she received a buff a few patches ago. This buff seems quite nice though. Mana consumption of the first ability going down by 5 seconds. You use your first ability a lot in laning phase for both poke and using it to clear minion waves, so this is quite nice. This is a pretty big buff. Armor and magic resist boost. Now, of course, your second ability, ranged champions cannot attack unless they're inside your hallowed mist. But this is a really big buff with Gwen facing up against melee champions and bruisers, because if they step inside the hallowed mist and try and attack you, again, you gain more armor and more magic resist boosted now at every single level. So this is a pretty nice buff, especially early on as well. You're getting like, every single level, you're getting 4 extra armor and magic resist, which is pretty cool. And Needlework, the slow effect is going up by 5% every single rank. This is going to mean that it's going to be a little bit easier now for Gwen to chase down enemy champions with her ultimate. It means you can try and follow up with your abilities and auto attacks, and maybe your fellow teammates can also help out as well. So nice changes to Gwen. I think Gwen Baron lane is still going to be completely fine. Jungle Gwen is still not really a thing anymore because they just nerfed her damage too much, and unfortunately none of this is really a damage boost, so it doesn't really help Gwen jungle out that much, unfortunately. Renekton, I'm pretty sure this year, Renekton's been, I say this year, in the past year, I'm pretty sure Renekton has been buffed more than any other champion that I've ever seen in the game. So another buff coming in for Renekton. You see here it says base health regeneration with on hit, and there's another one here as well. Yeah, this is base regeneration. This is basically healing. So the healing you get on Cole the Meek is going up at every single rank, so you get a little bit more healing. And the second ability, base damage, this is a really, really nice buff because this is really your enabler and your go-to when you're looking for engages and you're looking for that early game strength and early game dominance. It's all to do with your second abilities damage, especially the empowered version from Reign of Anger. So this going up by 5 at every single rank is really, really nice, and the base version also going up by 5 at every single rank. So more sustain during the early game, more power when it comes to all-ins is a welcome change to Renekton, because he's pretty strong in the Baron lane. The problem is Renekton just gets outscaled by every other Baron laner pretty much in the game, so you need to have that early game advantage, and unfortunately Renekton just isn't that strong enough to even try and win 1v1s early on, so maybe this will help him out. Rakan. Now, I've been playing a little bit of Rakan in my unranked to master series because I get quite a lot of supports. I don't think Rakan is honestly that bad. I mean, these buffs are crazy good, like really, really good. First ability, you normally start off with this at level 1 unless you want to go for an engage at level 1 with your second ability, but you normally start this off at level 1. This being on a 2-second lower cooldown, and also the base healing. Again, this is base regeneration, but this is the base healing on the ability. So your healing is going up by double the amount. Basically, the scaling has been nerfed a little bit, but the base amount at level 1 has also been doubled. The cooldown's also been lowered by 2 seconds, so this gives Rakan a crazy amount of sustain now during the laning phase. If you can land this on an enemy champion, and most of the time you will do, especially when you hit level 3, you jump in with your second ability, you use your first ability, and you auto attack to try and proc electrocute, or try and proc glacial augment. So you're always guaranteed to hit this, so you're going to be healing double the amount at level 3, and yeah, this is a crazy buff. Again, even late game as well, 2-second less cooldown as well on your second ability, which is really, really nice. First ability, sorry. Second ability is also going down in cooldown reduction, which is, absolutely crazy. I mean, this is your huge enabler. I mean, it's called Grand Entrance for a reason, but this is really your Grand Entrance with your ultimate. This being on a 1.5 second less cooldown in the late game is huge for Rakan. It means that you can engage more often, you can be more mobile more often, but on top of that, freaking Battle Dance is getting an ability cast range by 100. He's going to be jumping over walls like Warwick did. Like, I do not know what Riot are thinking. This is like Warwick dash range pre-nerf on his ultimate. Like, this dash is crazy. Like, this is really, really good. I mean, huge buff on first ability, huge buff on second ability, and the third ability as well. Don't be surprised if Rakan is one of the strongest supports in the next patch, because these buffs are wild. I didn't think Rakan was that bad anyway. I think it's like S/A tier. You know, he's not a bad champion, but this honestly might make him break into like S+ tier and beyond. Like, disgusting changes. Absolutely crazy. Vex getting a little bit of improvement in terms of the laning phase and also the late game potential with her ultimate. Base damage on the first abilities going up by 10 at every single rank, and cooldowns also being reduced by 10 seconds. Nice change for Vex. I don't think Vex is a bad champion. I don't think she's an OP champion, but I think she's in a pretty nice spot. Did she need a buff? Maybe. You know, laning phase is going to be a little bit better now with her first ability. It means that she can clear waves quicker as well, which is quite nice. It means that she can roam around the map and use her ultimate more often to try and get advantages. So this is a really, really nice change. But overall, Vex was all right already. So these buffs are definitely going to help her out quite a bit. Swain, I've been saying for quite some time that Swain is not really a good champion, and I think Riot agree with me as well. I just don't really see the point of Swain right now. The problem with Swain is that if you miss your third ability, you're basically just like a walking turret. Like, this is you don't really offer too much. You do a little bit of damage, like your AoE damage, if you can stick to enemy champions, especially if enemy champions have a lot of melee champions. Swain can be very good. But in general, you don't really have a lot of carry potential. And like I said, unless you can land your third ability and do a bit of burst damage. But these changes are definitely going to help out Swain quite a bit. Health per level going up by 8 at every single rank. So you're going to get 80 at level 10 and a little bit more at level 15. So it's quite nice. Again, especially because Swain's passive also gives him extra HP. Quite cool. Base damage on the first bolts on the first ability going up by 15. Sorry, at your maximum rank. The early game's not really changing too much. It's just the late game trying to give him more carry potential as a mage. And then you have the healing of the ultimate. But again, base regeneration is healing per second. Again, it must be a translation issue or something. This is going up by 5 at every single rank. So more healing on the ultimate, which is quite nice. More poke damage and more burst potential on your first ability, which this is the ability that you normally max first. And also more tankiness. So some nice changes here for Swain. I think these will be quite nice and be a welcome change to Swain as well. There's also another change coming up next, which is also a pretty big buff for Swain as well, which as I scroll down, you can see Rod of Ages is finally getting a buff. I've been saying for such a long time that this item is really not that good. It only works on very few champions like Castin and even Swain, as I just mentioned. So the speed of stacking now on your passive, instead of 1 stack per 40 seconds, you get 1 stack per 35 seconds. So you get 10 stacks in total. So it's basically, you're going to be getting maximum stacks 50 seconds quicker. Now, 50 seconds is not really a long time. And the problem with this item right now is really just because Boots and Mana is so powerful. Normally, when you want to build Rod of Ages, you want to build this as the first item. You don't want to go any other item. You don't want to go Boots. You don't want to go defensive Boots. You don't want to go for, you know, magic damage boots or anything like that. You just want to go Rod of Ages first item and get this stacked up as quick as possible, which sometimes you can complete it by like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, if you're very lucky. And then you can start stacking. And then the stacking starts, which now will be 1 stack every 35 seconds. The problem at the moment is because Boots of Mana is so powerful, it gives you a crazy amount of magic damage, mana regeneration, and also the little bit of magic pen. Every AP champion builds the boots first. And at that point, Rod of Ages just becomes useless, because by the time you build Rod of Ages, you're looking at maybe 4 or 5 minutes into the game. You then have to wait another 6.5 minutes before the buff. Another 6.5 minutes for you to fully stack Rod of Ages. So you're not getting the full stack of Rod of Ages until like 10, 11 minutes in the game. And again, this is only going down by 50 seconds. So I did a little bit of maths. So before it was 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Now it's going to be 5 minutes and 50 seconds. So basically 6 minutes after you build the item, you're going to be building max stacks. Is that going to mean that champions are going to build Rod of Ages before boots? Probably not. I still don't think this item is going to be worth it. It's a nice change. I'm glad they're actually seeing that Rod of Ages is just not being built on any champion at all. There is a world that maybe you can build this on some champions and gain some stacks. You know, again, Casting the Swain, I think, are the two main champions that I'm looking at. But overall, I think there are just better items to get, better mana items to get. Even casting nowadays, sometimes you could just skip Rod of Ages, just go straight into Archangel, straight into full burst damage and try and do as much damage as possible instead of having to sustain, having the extra HP from Rod of Ages. Sudden Impact as well. I mean, this rune is absolute garbage. They completely killed this rune. I don't think this change really does too much as well. Basically, what they're doing is at the moment, your true damage is going at level 1. It's 10, and at level 15 it's 80, so you're basically getting around 4.5 true damage per level with Sudden Impact. Now that's going to be the cap on level 80 is now going to hit at level 10. That means you get 7 true damage per level, so you're able to hit the cap of 80 true damage earlier, and also you get a bit more damage during the early game. So I mean, there are some champions that can probably benefit from this. Again, I mentioned before when Sudden Impact got the rework, and I was talking about in the huge massive patch notes, I think Sudden Impact is only really good on champions that look to engage with their abilities, with their dashing abilities. If you're playing champions like Lee Sin, I don't think it's really worth it, because you might be dashing in before the fight with your second ability, but you're not actually attacking anyone. So you could be wasting the Sudden Impact passive before the fight even starts because you're dashing over a Baron pit or something like that. So you need to make sure that it's actually on engages. You know, Gragas' third ability, for example, is a great example, because you're always engaged with your third ability or your ultimate, then your third ability. Samira as well is also another great option, or even Lucian could be a great option as well. So nice change. Again, this rune is, in my opinion, still bad anyway, but still a nice change. The Enchanted Ensemble has been summoned in the Baron lane. That freaking voice and that, oh my god, it just never... The Enchanted Ensemble has been summoned. The Mountain Dragon has been summoned. Anyway, the minions, so the trumpet and the organ and drum, getting some changes with the Rift Herald. The health is going down, the scaling health is going down, however the attack damage is going up. I actually kind of like this change. I mean, I do agree that the trumpet and the organ, the drums, whatever the hell you want to call them, instrument monsters, there you go, that's a great way of calling them. These instruments are very, very tanky, and they do last a long time, but they just don't do enough damage to towers. And I think this is a great change, because when you're taking Rift Herald and when you're using it towards a lane, most of the time, unless 2 platings have already been taken by that lane, if the tower is full HP, you're taking all bar 2 tower plates from there. But now with this, you might be able to take them last 2 tower platings, because you have the extra attack damage now. And if you follow up and if you deal damage to the tower itself, so you might be able to deal enough damage to be able to take the towers now. Yes, you're going to have less health. I mean, there's probably some maths that you can do in your head, which is you can work out how much damage a tower shot does and see if you can actually, if this actually is a buff or a nerf. There's probably some crazy maths magician that can work this out. I mean, if you take this right at the start, then it's not actually that much of a difference. There's only 50 HP difference. If you take it right at 4 minutes or right at 5 minutes when it spawns, summon it straight away, you're only losing like 50 HP, but you're gaining 10 AD on every single Enchanted Ensemble. So that's pretty nice. And then we have the skins. That is everything. As I mentioned, every single change this patch is a buff. No nerfs, which is pretty mind-blowing, since Ambessa and Amumu is still running crazy on the Rift right now. I mean, this is all that everyone's waiting for, let's be honest with you. Like, no one cares about any other change this patch except for this Corki. I am so fucking hyped for this Corki change. We're getting PC League of Legends Corki with a new passive, armor shreds, crazy physical damage now, full crit Corki, actual carry builds instead of going for Riftmaker and Sterix Gauge and trying to sustain more than actually deal damage. I mean, yeah, great changes overall, I would say. I think most of these champions deserve the buff, except for maybe Rakan, in my opinion. The other champions definitely deserve the buff. But as always, thank you all for tuning in to my patch rundown. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the content, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Just to remind you, I will be live streaming this update live tomorrow, and I also be live streaming on YouTube the NAR release, which will be happening on Friday. So new patch, new champion, new adventures on the Rift. So super excited to see what it's going to be like. So hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care and have a good evening. Peace.